This is from August 18th from a anonymous account at QueerSing. If bioconservatives manage to stop doctors from formally providing gender-affirming body modification to minors, underground alternatives will proliferate. Younger folks yearn for morphological freedom too, and will do what they can to live as they wish. #DIY, #transliberation. Now, morphological freedom is a new one on me. And, don't show my screen again here, Zach, but if you look at the bio for this account, you will perhaps not be surprised to learn that the first phrase in it is queer, transhumanist, anarchist. So this is a very transhumanist approach that we are somehow separate from our bodies. We can be more fully separated from our bodies. Our true being exists outside of the somatic existence of us. And all we need is more and better tech in order to realize this amazing dream. It is, for some it sounds utopian, for others of us it sounds dystopian, but regardless of what you think about it, it's just wrong. Right? We are our embodied experience. We experience things through our bodies, and from that develop the senses of what it is to think of the world and how to engage in it. There is no separating us. So this morphological freedom idea, which is very much downstream of transhumanism, is out of alignment with what is true, with the fact of, some small number of billions of years of evolution in which we have been embodied.
Yeah, and, of course, this drives you into, should a person be free to morphologically alter their body? Well, certainly an adult person has some right to do this within reason, but it is also the case that we recognize that this desire may indeed be pathological and that it is not in our interest to facilitate it, right? Whether that technical right still exists for an adult, it is certainly our obligation to protect children from that impulse. Let's take cutting, for example, right? To the extent that people injure themselves, they have psychological reasons to do it, clearly, but the point is, they may be doing something to control a different harm, but nonetheless, the point is, this is a harm landscape.
Yes.
And the idea that just because we phrase it, as if it is just a simple extension of some principle, do we believe in, individual autonomy? Well, certainly. Well, how about morphological autonomy? Right? How about, why would you deny it to children? And it's like you're just being marched in the direction of, actually endorsing harm.
And there's more too, something that we've talked about here before, which is that trans being real but rare. And I actually know someone who did do a DIY surgery on themselves because they had such extreme gender dysphoria, and it is excruciating and tragic, and that does happen. However, the idea that modern weird people have come up with an ability with high technology to modify bodies does not mean that you have a basic human right to the very novel, very technological discoveries of the last some years. Every moment, every discovery that moderns make does not immediately become a right, right? And it's the idea of, the fundamental human right to bodily autonomy is quite different from there being any fundamental human right to taking advantage of every newest possible technological or medical, not innovation, like just treatment or surgery or procedure, especially given how off the rails it is, given how reductionist and uninterested in diagnosis and hyper-focused on dealing with symptoms it is. There's going to be a lot of disaster downstream.
Now, I agree with your point, of course, and we've talked about this before, that there is a large body of evidence that across many cultures there is a trans phenomenon of one type or another. I'm not aware of any in which this involves surgical modification, but the point is, we are in radical new territory when the point is, I am trans, and therefore I need to be physically modified or need to be physiologically modified with hormone treatments or blockers or whatever. And so the point is, that's where this becomes a remarkable new argument.
Yes.
This strikes me as the next phase of an arms race, right? Because
it's a threat.
The basic point is, well, if you're going to say, well, trans is real, but it has never included the right to surgical modification, nor the necessity of it, right? So if we want those modifications and the medical establishment decides that it cannot in good conscience deliver them, at least to people below a certain age, then we will avail ourselves of the right to modify our own bodies, which is, of course, as you point out, a threat. It can't possibly be safe to do it, right? Somebody who does not have the training to do this in a way that is biotically safe, that doesn't risk the possibility of damaging a blood vessel and bleeding out. I mean, it's obviously extremely dangerous.
Well, I mean, self-surgery.
Yes.
It's insane.
So, yes, even surgeons don't do it.
Yes.
It's even more dangerous than cutting your own hair.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Substantially more so. I know. I will dredge up the research literature that explains why that is.
I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, it's
the side-by-side comparison.
Right. They weren't physically side by side, but in the paper, it's two charts. All right. I have now diverted this conversation into madness. But yeah, it's a threat, and the point is, of course, civilization has the right to say, your right to live as you wish to live is not tantamount to a right to surgical modification, certainly before you have attained adulthood. And this is next phase, which is then we'll do it ourselves. Yep.
And I mean, I guess before we move on to the next example, some things are just not available to you. They're just not. And just because you can imagine something or fantasize about it doesn't mean it can be or should be real or possible to you. I'm reminded of the Rolling Stones.
Yes.
Right? You can't always have what you want.
You can't always get what you want.
You can't always get what you want.
Right.
But if you try sometimes,
you might find
you can get what you need.
Yep.
Get in both cases.
Yeah. It's get.
I feel like, they're before our time a bit, but was it that song that played at our high school graduation?
Keith Richards is timeless, maybe even physiologically. But the band, yes, more before our time.
They were classic rock at the point that we were in high school, but I believe it was that song that actually, was it that song that was played at our high school graduation? Or was it a different Rolling Stones song?
Oh, it may well have been that one. I've completely forgotten this, but
you've blocked it. It was so traumatic for you.
Well, I was...
you were the speaker at our graduation.
Keeping an eye on OJ.
Who was also at our graduation.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He had already long since graduated, but...
but his daughter, anyway.
Yes. In any case, I've done it again.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Really, it wasn't so long ago that it felt like the advances from civil rights and women's rights and gay rights were happening. We weren't there, but we were clearly moving in the right direction. And we understood that there were trade-offs and that, frankly, you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes,
you might find
you can get what you need.
I think it's you get what you... No, you can get what you need. You're right. I stepped all over your line.
No,
sorry about that. Go. But
you're much better with lyrics than I am.
I can't forget them. They plague me. But because some of them aren't great. But anyway, I digress yet again. I have now lost what I wanted to add to that discussion.
I have no sympathy for you.
Hoisted on my own petard in this case.
Yeah. In this case, I have no sympathy for you.
In this case, yeah.